Okay, I'd like to know who is familiar with this machine. Can I see some hands? Who knows this machine? Okay, we're in good company. This is Timeshock, a video pinball simulation game which sold millions of copies around the world and is even today considered as one of the best pinball simulation games because of its excellent physics and its extreme deep rule set. Now, I'm Peter van Leijen. I'm from Silvercaster Pinball, and we are turning this digital video pinball simulation game in a full-size, full-featured, real-life pinball machine. And I'd like to start with an introduction of the team. First is Jurgen. He's the initiator. He's the man with the mission. He's also a businessman. He has owned and sold some ICT companies, different ICT companies. And besides that, he's also a pinball lover. He has a beautiful game room with a collection of 20 machines in pristine condition. Jurgen is here with us today. Jurgen, raise your hand. Here's the man with the mission. Okay, next up is Ruben. Ruben is our designer and mechanical engineer. He's very experienced in SolidWorks. He also has deep knowledge of materials and manufacturing methods. And he's the one responsible for all those beautiful renderings you may have seen in the Pinball News article or in the Dutch Spinner magazine. Then there's Jonathan. Yeah, is Ruben here? Or? Okay, yeah, well, someone's got to be there. And it's him. Okay, then we have Jonathan. Jonathan is our artist. He's the one responsible for make the playfield art shine in real life. He has excellent knowledge on coloring and typography. He is also the one who designed our logo. And when he's not designing, he likes to play Star Trek. I don't know, is Jonathan here or is he also with the machine? Jonathan? No, I don't see him. Okay, next, Marina. Well, Marina is for customer relations and communication. She's a social media expert. She has earned her stripes working at the biggest national broadcast here in the Netherlands. And because she likes to wear black and has positive energy, she is a little mistress of the light. And Marina is here. Okay, and then there's me. I'm the technician. I'm responsible for building the prototypes and preparing for production. I have a comprehensive technical background in the fields of electronics, programming, metalworking and woodworking. And I've been a pinball addict since 1987. That's when I bought my first machine, a Williams Stardust, and I've had many since. And since my profession is technical trainer, I'm the one doing the presentation today. So, yeah, thanks. Woo! Okay, so there you have the team for Silvercaster Pinball. Now, Silvercaster Pinball, for all the foreigners, this is Netherlands, Amsterdam in the middle. Right now we are in Drunen, and some 50 miles, some 100 kilometers, I must say, is Utrecht. Now that's where Silvercaster is based. That's where we are. Now, and also for the foreigners, the Netherlands, you may know the Netherlands from windmills, beautiful sceneries, wooden shoes, we don't walk in them. We don't walk in them, but looks good. Tulips, and some may know us from other stuff. But you may also know the Netherlands from Pinside, which is developed and hosted in the Netherlands by Robin and Martijn van Maurik. Pinball Magazine, the glossy, in-depth pinball magazine by editor Jonathan Joosten, also a Dutch product. We have, of course, the conversion, amazing conversion from a Johnny Mnemonic, The Matrix, also from Holland. And the guys from Dutch Pinball, last year with the Bride of Pinbot, and this year with our Big Lebowski. So you can see we have a vibrant pinball community here in the Netherlands. And that's good. So, in conclusion to this introduction, we are Silvercaster Pinball. We come from Utrecht. We are surrounded by pinball lovers here in the Netherlands in a vibrant community. but most importantly, we are building Timeshock. So, about Timeshock. Some facts and figures about this machine. Timeshock is designed by Pro Pinball in 1997. And it was a real good game. It sold millions of copies worldwide. And I told it already at the start of the presentation. But the reason it sold so much is it's got excellent physics. And even today, it's considered one of the best pinball simulation games. Founding father of this game is Adrian Barrit, and we are happy that he's working closely together with us in making this a true pinball experience. Now, the storyline of Timeshock. There's been a Timeshock, and now it's chaos in the universe. Now, on a casual Friday night, playing pinball with some friends, that seems like a noble task to me if you gotta fix the universe. To fix the universe, you need the crystal. The crystal is an important element in the game. But the crystal is shattered because of the Timeshock. And now there are fragments of the crystal in different time zones. So you have to travel to 4 time zones and collect these fragments. In each time zone, you can find 1 fragment. And what's the best way to travel to a time zone? Of course, a time machine. So we've got a time machine in the game. And when you have completed all these fragments into the crystal, into 1 crystal, you get to the wizard mode of the game, and that's called the Dawn of Time. Thank you. So there's in short a storyline. Now, I mentioned the crystal, and the crystal is the big, green, shiny, beautiful thing up there. It has a scoop at the entrance, and the scoop either puts the ball back in play on the play field, or it can divert the ball into the crystal, where it is transported to one of the 4 wire forms, and that are the time zones, the lock for the time zones. Another toy is the time machine, the great thing on the left there. It's used for ball locks. You see a basket on the front. I don't know if it works. That will stack 3 balls, and when you got 3 balls in there, your multi-ball starts. So you collect balls for your multi-ball to travel to the time zones. And if you've done that 4 times, you've got all time zones, and you get to the end game. Now, the features of this game. This game has a great extended list of features. I already mentioned the 4 time zones. And in each time zone, the time zone, ancient Rome, prehistoric age, the present, and the distant future. Each time zone has its own musical track. By the way, the music is done by the band The Jam, some members of the band The Jam. I don't know if you know them. So these are the 4 time zones. And in each time zone, you can play 2 modes. So that makes a total of 8 modes to play. And each time zone has a secret mode. Besides that, there are 6 different multi-balls. We've got combos, ultra combos, a 6-way ultra combo for a whopping 200 million. We've got quick shots. You can collect souvenirs. There's a mystery. There's a video mode. There even seems to be a secret video mode. I've never seen him, but I know it's there. Super Jets. There's a mode called Find the Cow. There's Midnight Madness, a 10-ball multi-ball frenzy. And, well, there's even more than would fit on this sheet. It's got extended rules. And, well, because there's so much in the game, it uses some real estate, and therefore the game has to be a wide body. So Timeshock will be a wide body pinball game. Now, what is on the playfield? I've already mentioned the 2 toys, the crystal and the time machine. Then there are 3 ramps, 14 wireforms, including 2 wireforms in the crystal. I've never seen a game with so many wireforms. 3 flippers, 3 pop bumpers, 7 physical locks. And in order to operate, the ball needs 10 balls installed. So that's a huge ball throw. Now, some other facts from the game, more technical facts. For us, important, because we're going to make the game for real. And to make this game, we need 44 drivers. And 34 are for driving the coils, the slingshot, the flippers, the pop bumpers, etc. There are 8 flashers, and we need 2 motors for the crystal, which can rotate, and time machine. 2 weeks ago I was at the Pinball Expo and I did a factory tour in there, but Stern. And at the end of the factory tour I got a fact sheet which stated that a Stern pinball can hold up to 24 coils. And you see we use 34 in this game, so that's more than 30% more. The game uses 79 switches, 66 on the playfield and 13 on the cabinet, and 118 lamps, which are all controlled lamps. 84 in the playfield, 2 on the cabinet for your start and your launch button, and 32 for the GI. Now, as you can see, this is a very complex game in terms of gameplay, game features, and also it's no ordinary game in terms of hardware demands. So the question is, who in his right mind would make this game, would design this game, would come up for an idea for this game? Who would make a game with 14 wireforms? Who would design a game that uses so much coils? And who would design a game with a rule set that beats Lord of the Rings in complexity? Now, the suspect is among us. Ladies and gentlemen, the creator of this game, this million-selling video pinball game, is here today. We are very pleased to have him here. Please give him a big applause. Here's Adrian Barrit. Hi. Aid, welcome. We're going to do it like this. And I've got some questions for you. Maybe you can share with the crowd here today. How did Pro Pinball come to be?
Hi everyone, it's good to be here. Pro Pinball started back in '95. We were looking for a new project to do, and myself and Champy, a good working colleague of mine, were massive pinball fans. We'd played games in Oxford all the time, and we'd recently, between us, bought a Star Trek Next Generation pinball table. And we're thinking, maybe we can do something with this. Wouldn't it be great to actually have a 3D pinball simulation? We'd played games like Pinball Fantasies on the Amiga, which were scrolling, but we thought, surely there must be a way of doing one in 3D. At one point, we did try and get the rights to do Star Trek The Next Generation as a game, but sadly that didn't work out. But what that did lead on to was creating the web, which was the predecessor for Timeshock, which was a much simpler game, but we did come up with a way of doing 3D on a PC, which had never been done before. The key trick was that because with the static camera view, very little on the screen changes at any one time on a pinball machine, if you forget about the flashes. You could, with a relatively low power machine, still get the 3D going on if you just update a few lights a frame and moving a pinball around. So that was in '95 when we did the web. But then we thought, well, okay, we've got to do a follow-up, but it's got to be bigger and better than what we did before, because we knew there was other companies out there that were sure to copy the 3D technique that we'd done. So we were determined to give everything we could to make this new game really massive. And that's where the the time travel theme came in, because with the different time zones, it give you scope for doing a lot more. Because we always just wanted to do one table and do that one table the best we possibly could. And the whole time travel theme really gave us the scope to push the boat out and make life really tricky for the Silver Castle guys.
Yeah, sure. We're going to make it work. But and you told us already, but it's nice to share with the audience the original name for Timeshock. Maybe you can share it.
The web was very successful, and the most successful market for it was Germany. So our marketing team were very keen to make sure it appealed to the German market as much as possible. And someone in our marketing team said that quest is a really popular word in Germany. So for a while, they were trying to push us to change Timeshock into Time Quest, and it didn't seem quite as snappy as Timeshock. But luckily, I prevailed and made them see that the way forwards was to stick with Timeshock, and luckily that's what we've got.
Okay. That's good. Timeshock sounds better, I think. What's your favorite feature of Timeshock?
Well, I think the bit that always gets a shiver going down my spine is the time travel sequence, which is where you've got to do quite a lot to enable the time travel mode. You've got to complete both the ramps, and you've got to lock all the balls for a multi-ball. So there needs to be a good payoff. So we spent a lot of time on a cool light show where all the lights radiate into the crystal, and the crystal picks up speed, and then you've got the dot matrix going as well. And it just sets it up and then leads straight into a time travel multi-ball. And that is probably out of all the games I've done, that sequence is probably the bit I'm most proud of. And then the gameplay that follows on from that.
Okay, and what's the secret to make the best-selling pinball video game?
Well, it's to lock yourself in an office for a couple of years, hardly go out at all, grow your hair this long, which used to be the case back then, and not get out that much. But no, it's just, you've got to be obsessive. You just got to throw yourself into it. And we did lots of things with Timeshock that we thought people wouldn't even notice, but it's that what makes it fun. And you basically pour your whole heart into it for a while and give it everything you've got. And luckily, there seemed to be enough people that appreciated the madness that we put into it. So,
well, in the original presentation, we also talked about the journey we had from creating this game. But since Ed is here, I think it's more interesting for the people to ask him questions. If you have specific questions for us, for the Timeshock, for the building of the game, you can find us at the booth. But right now, I think there may be questions from the audience to Ed. Are there any questions? Theo, I guess. Shall I? The question is, when he designed the game, did you think of making it real one day? That it could be made real.
Yeah, a key thing with the Pro Pinball, when we set out to do it, was to make the most realistic simulation we possibly could. And we designed it, at least in our minds, so that it could theoretically be done. I mean, it might be quite a challenge, and certainly as the series progressed, it probably gets even more challenging. But it was important that from the visuals to the simulation to the rule set and everything, that it was as realistic as we could possibly make it. And I never dreamed that it could possibly become real. I mean, it's just amazing. I saw it in the flesh for the prototype in the flesh for the first time last night, and it really is like a dream come true, that this thing that was just a figment of my imagination is now something that's tangible and you can actually play. So it's an exciting time. Okay, so the question was, believe that we have a Kickstarter to do a new version of the simulation, and how does that tie in with the physical one? Yeah, between the new one and the old one. Yeah, so what's the difference between the old and the Ultra Edition? Well, the Ultra Edition, the graphics have been completely done from scratch. We've got a whole new way of rendering and displaying it. Probably the original one was dynamic as much as we could make it. The flashes could flash and you get a sort of a starburst. But with the new one, if you have a flasher going off, the entire playfield lights up and everything around it sort of reflects what's going on. We're also completely revisiting the physics as well. As it stands, it's still got the old physics because they stand up well. Because our top priority was getting it out onto new platforms. I've got the iPad version with me today, and if people want to come over to the stand, then you're welcome to see that. That's very close to being sent off to Apple so it can be distributed out to our backers very soon. And then the PC version's not too far behind. We made a few tweaks on the Ultra Edition as well. There's more detail on the time machine than there used to be, and the crystal's been reworked a bit too. And all those things have been fed back into the real one that's being worked on now. Okay, thank you. Yes, one of my favorite pens and which influenced Timeshock. Well, my certainly Star Trek, as I've mentioned, was a big favorite. I'll mention a few others that have inspired pro pinball, and you might be able to work out where the bits and bobs came from, but Black Knight 2000, roller games, a few to mention. Been a big Steve Ritchie fan. Flow has always been an important thing to me in a pinball table, and all the ones that I've designed have tried to keep that feeling of flow. So I've looked for inspiration in other ones, but it's picking good ideas that you think can be melded with other things and bring them together to make something new. But certainly Star Trek is probably the one that I drew most inspiration for with Timeshock. Yes, sorry, the question was, for the new Ultra Edition, did we consider a dynamic camera system? We did think about that. Obviously, everyone these days have dynamic cameras, and it's all done with real-time 3D. However, when we looked at it, we just realized that if it's realism you're going for, and we are, pre-rendering it offline can yield much better results. If you've got a whole vast bank of computers pre-generating all the lights, working out where the reflections are, that's always going to be much more realistic than something that's generating that real time. I mean, the downside is, yes, the camera can't move around as you're playing, and yeah, you can get a bit animated when you're moving around. But generally speaking, when you're playing pinball, you've got a pretty much a fixed viewpoint. So we decided, after knocking it around, that a fixed viewpoint would enable us to pre-render it, and pre-rendering it will just enable us to do cool lighting effects that you simply can't do in real time at the moment. If you come over to the stand, you can see what's going on. If you look on the arm of the time machine, you can see every lamp on the playfield that's actually being reflected off the arm of the time machine. And you can see the flashes casting subtle shadows where they go. You just can't do realistic shadows in real time to the degree that you can do with the pre-rendering technique. And more than that, by pre-rendering it, You don't have to have stupidly powerful devices to run it on. As long as they've got a reasonable amount of graphical capability, you can run it. So devices as low as the iPad 2 can run it. It looks fantastic and still runs really smoothly. So we're very pleased with the results, and I hope you are all too. So the question is, what is my role with the Silver Castle project? As I probably don't live in the Netherlands. No, I don't live in the Netherlands. I live near Oxford in the UK. I communicate mainly via Skype, giving advice wherever. I'm often sent images of the table as it's being developed, and if there are any questions about the way to go, then I'm there to answer them. Because a few things have had to be adapted. I mean, I tried to design it so it could be made as a real table, but obviously there are some considerations when you do actually make it for real that I couldn't consider, such as just how on earth do you cram everything on the underside of the playfield. That I didn't think about. I just thought, well, yeah, if it fits on the top, then surely you can fit the corresponding stuff underneath. So, yeah, in my dreams. But so when things need to be tweaked or adjusted, then I'm always sort of asked if I've got any thoughts on that. The Silver Castle guys are very keen to make sure that what they're doing doesn't deviate from the original concept wherever possible, and they're very keen to keep me happy, which is very kind of them. They needn't do that, but they're very conscientious, which is great.
Maybe I can add to that. We are making the physical table, but Adrian is providing the software, is helping out with the software. So to get the best experience, the original team from the game is going to write the software part for our physical game.
Yeah, despite it going back all those years, all the original coders that worked on the Pro Pinball games are still working with me. I'm very, very pleased to say, and yes, they are currently working on the software for the actual one. So with the new Timeshock, will it be possible to play it in cabinet mode? Absolutely, yes. We have come up with a technique that will sort of slightly distort the renders that we've got for a flat screen to compensate, sort of like reverse keystone correction for anyone who knows about that. But essentially, when you've got the the screen in front of you in a cabinet, the back of it is, to your eyes, narrower than the front. So we kind of process the visuals we've got to compensate that for a bit. So when you look at it, it sort of all evens out, and then you come up with a great feeling of depth and a very realistic looking 3D view. So yeah, the very initial one won't support all the cabinet features that we ultimately want to get in there, but over time we will fully support everything that cabinets have to offer. We've already got support in there for real dot matrix display as well. It was great to see the dot matrix animations that were done all those years ago actually popping up on an actual display when we tried it out last year. So the question was, do we support or will it support multiple monitors? Yes, the plan is ultimately to support up to 3, so you can have one for the game itself, one for the back glass, and one for the dot matrix display. So you'll either be able to have an LCD for the dot matrix or drive an actual DMD if you've got one. think that might be it. Oh.
Excellent question. We don't know yet. It's, thanks. Thanks for the suggestion. Other questions? Okay. I see no more questions. Okay, well, thanks for being here. And this was it for us. If you have questions for us or for Aid, please come visit us at the stand. And thanks for being here.